How about this one? Can you hear this voice? Does it please you?
So are
Very
both
happy.
voices now currently booming forth?
In April 1995, Fugazi loaded their gear into a Newark, Delaware college gym, turning 4 walls and a basketball court into the heart of the East Coast's DIY underground for a night. We grew up in Delaware's music scene, starting to go to shows that same year, but we never heard stories, seen flyers, or come across photos from that night. How could a show that gathered over 1,000 people, arguably the biggest DIY show in Delaware's history, leave almost no trace? No ticket stubs, no newspaper clippings, no memories passed down. When we started the Delaware Music History Archive, that became our first mystery to solve. How could Fugazi, one of the biggest independent bands of the 90s, just 2 months away from releasing the highest charting record of their career, play our tiny state and vanish from its history? So we set off to find out, spending 5 months tracking down nearly 100 people, promoters, musicians, fans, trying to piece together how something so big could simply disappear. What we uncovered isn't just a tale of one concert, but a look at how these nights stitched a community together, how they shaped people, and how even the loudest moments can slip through the cracks of local history. This is our search for Fugazi's long-lost Delaware night, and what makes the story so universal.
I felt like everyone had this weird pride of like, our heroes are coming to us.
It never really clicked with me that it actually happened because it all felt so dreamlike.
The notion of getting to play a show with Ian MacKaye was, I mean, come on, I was 17.
One of the things for us in telling the story of Delaware music is to show people the caliber of artists that came through. And I think looking at a band like Fugazi, even though it was only a couple hours away in DC, it's still notable that they decided to come to Delaware.
It's now April 1995. Fugazi's pretty huge.
I always knew that Fugazi had played Newark.
No flyer.
No flyer.
No photos.
No photos. And,
definitely no video. Yeah.
And to be honest, like kind of no memories. The people who booked this show was the Enoch Collective.
It was rejecting the corporate overtaking of what we considered was our scene.
We went from church halls that would hold 50 kids to church halls that held 150, but with 500 people showing up. We got to do something bigger than what we're doing right now. Like we're always trying to kind of up the ante. And we were like, we should book Fugazi. How do we even start? And we were like, let's call information and ask for Ian's number. And we literally dialed 411.
The Fugazi show was certainly a different tier for the Enoch Collective, is what they were booking.
Right, they actually made a ticket for this show. They had never done that before.
Pay $5 or maybe $3 with a can of food or something.
At the door.
And you get a little marker, say that you were there.
Yeah.
I just remember Jason Lukmanic, the cool older kid, approaching us, little group of, dudes out there hanging, said they were selling tickets for this show.
I worked at the University of Delaware Library, stacking books, but I had a computer and a printer.
So you were in charge. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was a graphic designer, but I'm also technical enough, and I'm also a bit of a miscreant, so I know how people copy tickets. How do I make these so that they're minimally unhackable? If you're smart enough to kind of hack this, God bless you, you get in. And the reality is, no one fucking did that. Folks showed up at that show without fucking tickets. All the fucking people at the door were just like, yeah, sure, come on in. Fugazi's here. Like,
I think my involvement was sitting around at the front door and selling tickets. That show got kind of messy for me. I had my wisdom teeth taken out that day and got kind of loopy on painkillers and a couple 40s. And kind of letting a lot of people just wander past me.
I do think that those bands blowing up on mainstream media did help more people come to our shows simply because they were young kids that were 14 and 15, 13.
We were talking with Fugazi. They said we needed a larger space, which we didn't have. So that's how the university came into being.
This was an Enoch show, and the WVUD was there as the sponsorship.
WVUD, which is the college radio station, sponsored.
We did it because we wanted to have Fugazi on the campus.
As far as how we got on the bill, there was a vote.
We had like a vote for who should open, and so that's how that ended up happening in my parents' basement. Little footnote, there was a brief period of time there where as the votes were being tallied, it looked like we might not make it. And I remember Josh looking at me going, are we going to really not play this show?
First band is Clevenger.
I went on to play in other bands afterwards that got to play, Metallica, Deftones, Marilyn Manson, stuff like that. Being able to say that I opened up for Fugazi was more of a badge of honor than any of that other stuff. But I really wish I could remember more of the details.
Second band, Boy Sets Fire. Third band is The Warmers. Ian's brother Alec. Alec was in earlier hardcore bands as well. The drummer Amy Farina ends up down the road. Ian's life partner.
They did the evens together.
And then Fugazi.
One thing that really stood out to me about Fugazi's performance, Fugazi had a no mosh pits at our concerts rule.
People that were like, fuck Fugazi, I hate that band. They don't let you dance and blah, blah, blah. Which isn't true.
As a female and knowing the band had your back.
And gentlemen, remember, share the floor with everybody.
They would start right on the note that they would stop.
We're going to go right back into the song after that very brief break. Thank you for your patience.
As was the time and the region.
The skinheads.
I think those may have been AC skins.
They were like heckling, pushing.
I can remember somebody on stage going, what are you saying? Oh, you're the skinhead?
Okay. Would you skins mind not knocking everything down up here? Thank you.
There's one thing a lot of people unanimously remember about the Fugazi show.
Daryl had ordered some Chinese food.
Pretty sure it came from the place in Newark shopping center.
I think in my mind, I always assumed it was number one Chinese.
I imagine there wasn't a green room, right, at this university
There was
building?
an area where they put the bands.
It was kind of weird just seeing them all sitting there. These people that you've been listening to their music forever and ever.
Daryl, Nat, John Burke, they're all back there.
I had the chance to meet the guys backstage. I think we had some kind of like backstage area.
And I'm sitting down and all they had were chopsticks and I was absolutely lost.
We all ate Chinese food together and Ian showed me how to use chopsticks.
So I did get a personal lesson from Ian Mackay on how to, semi-successfully use chopsticks.
In the Fugazi show, we keep going back to it. I think that's really fascinating to me is people being like, John has a great memory.
Right.
He remembers all these. He was straight edge back then. And John's like, I did a lot of drugs immediately after that time. Someone's like, oh, that person just kept everything. You talk to them like, I didn't go to the show and I don't have any ticket stubs. You're like, okay.
Yeah, it took a bit. Yeah.
So long for the twists and turns. It's been such a journey to just get a picture of a flyer.
Yeah, it took us 5 or 6 months. Yeah.
Well, John was right. Brandon did have a flyer, even if he didn't think he did. It felt like an eternity to find a single artifact from this damn show, but it finally came through. We've known Brandon since he played with the straight edge band I Hate You back in the 90s. He first sent us his Fugazi photos that he had posted to his Instagram account back in the pandemic, but then he surprised himself by finding the flyer.
I was living at my parents' house in Malvern, just outside of Westchester. Literally, Daryl would come up almost every Friday to pick me up. And that was like a huge deal that Enoch was doing that. And I remember being down in Newark all the time. It's kind of like side pride on my part, where I was like so proud of everything that they were doing. I remember it was on my bedroom wall in my parents' house forever and ever. I didn't remember I even had that file book. When you started asking about it, I'm like, I've been looking for the flyer forever. And then it hit me one day that I had it. And if I could find that book, and like literally I found it in a minute. I couldn't believe I still had it. I ended up throwing out boxes of flyers. And that was like my biggest fear when I started to look for the Fugazi one. I was like afraid that was in some of the boxes that got thrown out, but obviously it wasn't.
For me, I never saw the Fugazi flyer. So once we actually got it, I was like, oh fuck, that's what that flyer looked like? I guess I thought maybe because it was like a more pro
that there would have been a poster
show,
like,
there would be a poster or something.
But no, it looked like every other
It wasn't a rock show, it was like cut and paste flyer.
I imagine they probably didn't have to make many. Poster a few up around town on Main Street, but if you book Fugazi, people will come.
You didn't have to promote it. Like once you tell the world that Fugazi's playing somewhere, the world comes to come see Fugazi.
Linda had taken photos of each band that night. Her photos of Clevenger may be the only ones of the band's existence. We got hers on the same day we got Brandon's.
I was always taking pictures. I remember I did not want to be on Ian MacKay's side of the stage. I would have preferred Guy. It just filled up quick. I think always when you're on a disposable camera and waiting for the film, it's going to be like a Christmas. I felt like I got some good stuff. It was personal for me and meaningful.
Oakland had written an article about the show for the UD student paper, The Review, his first ever published article, the first of what would become a career working in music journalism.
I covered the one that happened at the University of Delaware for the Review, the school newspaper. It was the first thing that really felt like I was on the career trajectory that I wanted to be on. Like if I can talk to Ian, I can talk to anybody. And meeting him, it was like, oh, this is no big deal.
A month after we tracked down the photos and flyers, he was finally able to make the journey to his storage space an hour away from his home, where he laid eyes on this article for the first time in years.
As far as the article itself goes, that stuff has been sitting in these big bins that you buy at Target that are like, you have to carry them like this. I wrote for Thrasher, Alternative Press, Alarm, Rockpile for years and years and years.
The ticket proved the hardest to find. Pidge had given us a list of a dozen or so folks who might have it, none of whom we knew personally, but it turned out most of them hadn't even attended the show. Meg from Sex Doggy responded eventually. She rarely checks Facebook, and I don't blame her. I only logged back in to work on this archive. And told me she thought she would have kept it back in the day, but couldn't imagine herself finding it now. And then luckily for us, she found it 3 days later.
And I made it so that you had to hold the ticket on edge. And I think it may have said Fugazi, but it was basically like the font stretched out way big and there was a bunch of colored dots in front of it. You needed to hold a red filter in front of it.
And then our old friend Donovan was able to make a journey to his own storage space and had a single epic photo from the show.
I was using a 35 millimeter, printing black and whites in the high school photo lab. The only one real good shot I got was a Voice That's Fire. Daryl Hyde is jumped up in the air. Both his legs are up behind his back. And he's got his fist in the air with a big black X on it, which was kind of iconic for the time.
What are your takeaways when you think about the Fugazi show after all this?
Memory's funny. Enjoyed hearing everybody's takes and memories of this big, large show that happened in Newark, Delaware, or they're not memories. I think I do a similar thing with, I'm glad that I've held on to my flyers and journal entries.
Knowing what we know now about how important some of these bands and moments were, but we didn't do the best job of documenting it all, it is very frustrating. This is the greatest moment of your life. Just do it. Just do it. Just be in it, because you may never get another moment and I never did. But so
Oh, hey, I am Paul Campagna.
And I'm Chris Haug.
And we are working on a project we're calling the Delaware Music History Archive.
Yeah.
Building an interactive map with biographical information around these musicians. So we are documenting the history of Delaware music and music in Delaware from 1940 to the present. The teen groups, early rock and roll, 50s and 60s, golden era hip hop.
Yep. Some of the punk and hardcore and emo stuff coming out of the 90s, yeah.